Hello there, it's Monday, the sun's out, and if you've got nothing to do, here I am once again with some recommendations about great drummers from the past and classic recordings and people you might want to check out if you're not already familiar with their work. And the drummer I'm talking about today is Shelly Manne. Shelly Manne was an incredibly versatile player, first coming to international prominence with Stan Kenton's orchestra in the 1950s, and then going on to forge a remarkable, diverse career, not only as a jazz drummer in both big bands and smaller ensembles, but as a highly successful studio musician. He was one of the probably first wave of the big band era musicians who went out west and settled in California and forged very, very successful studio careers. And at the same time, particularly in the legendary Lighthouse at Hermosa Beach, crafted their own take on where the bebop era and jazz and post big band era was at, under the heading of West Coast jazz. Um, Arguably, some of Shelley's finest work is on this 5 album series of records recorded at the Blackhawk at San Francisco in 1959. It's superb, musical, not overdone, swinging, groovy, small group jazz. It's great to practice time to because Shelley's time is so even. I'm going to talk about playing along to records a lot because it's such a great way of staying connected with music at the moment. And see, these records are great because he sets a fast tempo on this. On what track is on this one? Poinciana. They do a really quick version of Poinciana, and it starts and ends at almost exactly the same tempo, and it's 13 minutes long, so it's great for your endurance as well. Now, my introduction to Shelly Manne was when I was a very, very little boy, as I once was, long, long time ago, on a 10-inch LP record that we had at home called Cool and Crazy by Shorty Rogers and his Giants. Trumpeter Shorty Rogers, as well as being a great trumpeter, was a great composer, and very much a figurehead, in fact, of the West Coast jazz scene. I imagine in this day and age he'd be known as vertically challenged Rogers, but he recorded his fabulous big band album over 2 sessions, the A side on one date and the B side on April the 2nd, 1953. And it includes a bit of a feature for Shelley, unusually playing mallets, which was quite innovative for the time. And it's called Tale of an African Lobster. You can actually hear, during the drum solos, you don't have to listen too carefully, you can actually hear Shelley grunting while he's playing, and as a very small child I thought that these were some sort of special lobster sound effects that have been put on the record for added drama. But anyway, I learned a little but very important lesson from that particular track, and it's all ear ear training and how you hear rhythms, because at the beginning of the track it starts with just Shelley, then the bass and piano come in, and the band kind of builds up the whole thing, and it starts off with just a simple pattern on the toms which goes like this. And when I was young, I was hearing that as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. But as I kind of got a more sophisticated ear when I got a little bit older, I couldn't figure out how that drum intro was connecting up with what was going on in the score later on in the chart. And I had, I don't know what age I was, I don't know, 8 or 9 or something. I had this eureka moment when I realized that what I was hearing was not actually 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, but was actually this 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So keep those ears working all the time. I've never been much for transcribing. My transcribers are these two things. You can't see them, they are here on the side of my head. And that was a very early lesson, that it's something that I'll always remember, and was my introduction to Shelly Manne. If you don't know Shelly, really be sure and check him out. And I will see you next time.